There we are. Let's see where we are here. I think we're live. There you go. We got a lot of things moving today. Headphones. Sounds echoey to me, but I tested it and it doesn't sound echoey to you, I think. Welcome everybody. This 5-Watt Live is brought to you with the support of TrueFire. More about my good friends from TrueFire at the break. I'm wearing headphones because the possibility of actually playing a guitar might happen. I got guitars. I've been messing with this all day, so it's good to see everybody. If your YouTube feed is anything like mine, yeah, this is really echoey and bugging me. Turn this down. Anything like mine, you're fully aware that at Christie's auction house in London, they will be selling many of the iconic guitars, or have. I mean, it's today or tomorrow. Maybe it's tomorrow, from the collection of Jeff Beck. I tend to start the year off thinking about what I have, what I use, and what can go. But the Beck auction really got me thinking about it. And then I understand that there are 130 guitars in that sale. We won't have quite that many to go through here. Although you can see I am surrounded, and I've got a photo. Let's see here. This is a picture when I was setting up earlier today. The cases are empty. The stuff's on the stands. There are, well, you'll find out how many there are in a minute. Then my buddy John Cordy, haunted by a recent encounter with a Stratocaster telly, went through the guitars he has in much the same way, looking for what should go and what should stay. So in that spirit, I'm going to go through all the guitars, all the electric guitars. I don't have many acoustic guitars. I have like 3 or 4 acoustic guitars that are here, and a few that are in the shop. I have pictures that just went in to have some pickups changed, and talk about all those electrics. And I'd like to enlist your help, everybody here I trust, to be sensible. He says, surrounded by electric guitars, as if I'm sensible. To enlist your help in saying, help me decide what should stay and what should go. And we'll talk about the criteria that I tend to use for that. Anyway, I sound like Zach Childs. Okay, yeah. So, welcome friends. I was actually just testing with Zach. We're going to do an episode on white guard Telecasters together, I hope. So in the description, you'll see the link to the store, of course. You can get some merch. The Bus and Plus pedals are back in stock. We actually went ahead and built a bunch of the blue Bus pedals again. The higher gain ones. They're actually the gain level of the original Bus pedal that I fell in love with. And then I convinced David to do one that was more of the Beano side and a lower gain, talk to your daughter, maybe not so much talk to your daughter, version of an overdrive special, the 2 favorite sounds that I have. But then, so the blue ones, we had 25 of them before, and they just like blew out in a weekend. So the blue ones are back. They are on Reverb, or if you're used to it, you can go directly to David. If you're in Europe, you should definitely go, or overseas, you go directly to David, because Reverb's overseas charges are really high. So that's there. Friends of 5-Watt, of course, is in the link. And if you're a person who's been thinking about doing a YouTube channel, the Mastery for Musicians YouTube course I have is still out there. I'm actually going to do a live stream. I'm going to do a live stream with the Mastery. Everybody who owns the Mastery course is going to get a live stream tomorrow. I'm going to talk about thumbnails and titling, the thing that musicians seem to want to do the least, which is probably 50 or 75% of the game here on YouTube, is trying to get people to start a conversation. You know, what do you do to get their attention when you don't have a pile of guitars surrounding you? Yeah, I guess that's one way to do it. We'll see how many people show up to see this. All right, so there we go. As you guys know, you're very distracting to me. I had this in my lap. We could actually do a sound test, although I'm not sure how much time we'll have to plug them in. How many guitars are enough? John Rochner says, John is absolutely correct. How many guitars are enough is the subject of the day. And it really is how many are enough for me. I'll say this now. I've said it so many times in videos before, and you guys probably are all regular, so you know that I have no stake at all in like a number, either for me or somebody else. When I hear somebody's got a lot of guitars and they play them all, I'm like, good life, you know, that's it. I heard in a watch video recently that a guy said, watches are tools, not jewels. And I thought that was perfect for guitars. You'll hear me quoting him in a video that I'm going to make about guitar collecting. Guitars are tools, not jewels. You should use them. This one's pretty close to a jewel though. So we're not going to start with this one. We're going to do these in chronological order. We could do the test. Let's do a quick test. I'm going to mute my overhead mic even though I've got a limiter so that I won't be able to talk, which is maybe a good thing sometimes. All right, let's start the list. If I'm not playing, I don't need the headphones, but we'll just leave them on in case. So in chronological order, I'll just remind everybody, if you have a question or a comment for me, go ahead and put a question mark in front of your comment and leave some space so it kind of jumps out from the list. It's often you guys are talking to each other, and that's great. I love that. So that's cool. So, okay, so let's see, where's the list start? I should have given him credit. That, of course, was John Cordy, and I used the music from his video about how many guitars he had. He doesn't know I did that, though he might stop in here if he's up too late with the kid. So, all right, so I am in awe of people who own their first electric guitar. I don't own any guitars here. Well, the first ones I'm going to talk about are the Strandbergs, and I bought those in 2017 because two of them are Salins, and the Salin model I think came out in 2017, and I've talked about it a little bit here before. The first one I bought, and they're like in a pile over here in the cases. The first one I bought was this one. And of course, I couldn't leave well enough alone. I've customized it. You might have seen this here before. It's a bolt neck guitar. That's a nice little flame in the neck, actually. This is a first generation Salin. The neck, has these three planes on the neck, and these are a little sharper than the one you're going to see later. This is a Strandberg. So I bought this Strandberg. I was playing David Grissom guitars, and I got out of the hospital in 2016. I was in the hospital for like 6 months. Anyway, you've heard that story before. I got out of the hospital, and I was pretty weak. I'd been laying there for a long time and had lost a lot of weight. And so I needed something that was ergonomic. I'd long been interested in ergonomic guitars. I actually bought one of these in blue. It was kind of I thought of it as a 60s telly because it had a rosewood board. And this one actually, I actually kept them both thinking I would keep one. Of course, I kept them both. And this one has pickups that Lindy Fralin made specifically for me for this guitar. I wanted to kind of get a deluxe Les Paul. My thinking was if a great Les Paul is a telly on steroids, couldn't we start with a telly-ish guitar and move towards the Les Paul direction? This is a Blues Special blade pickup that Lindy makes, and then he wound this to match that, to balance with that. It's a semi-hollow guitar. This guitar weighs about 5.5 pounds. You see me like flinging it around with my left hand here. I've played this, the only gig I've ever done with this was a jazz thing. It's a really small headless guitar. I just flew to Europe and back. The case, if I pick it up, it's going to fall over. I'll pick it up when I move to the next one. The case is really small too. It would definitely go in an overhead on most airlines, though they are cracking down about what you consider a personal item. I would think a guitar is a pretty personal item. So you guys are just as bad as me. Chris Butler wants to know what the headphones are. I never remember the brand, but they are beautiful. They're walnut. I think they're Meze, M-E-Z-E. I got them, actually, I got them because Rhett got a pair and I thought they looked great. And they sound pretty good. They're amazing. So this is the first guitar on the list. This is in 2017. I have to admit, I don't play the Strandbergs that much lately because I've gone in this whole other direction. And we're going to go through those together. So that's the first one. The next one I got. One of those times I could use an assistant. Here we go. That in the case. One of the things I loved about the Salin was that it kind of hints at Telecaster-ness, but not all the way. So I took this. This is their ash body, maple neck, and originally came with 2 pickups. And I have been long fascinated by single pickup guitars, as you're going to see another one in a second here. But I really like the look of the flat black kind of. I don't think they were Bakelite, but the original pickguard. There you can see it. So I got the guys. I got their custom shop to make me a pickguard for this, and put in a single Mojo Tone quiet coil pickup. This actually is a blade pickup underneath, but they made it look like a flat coil, and it is wound to sound like a broadcaster pickup. This is an incredibly resonant guitar. It's not quite as light as the Hot Semi Hollow Body one, but I love the sort of, and a roasted neck. They don't roast the necks anymore, but I don't think they needed to. It's got 2, you can see 2 little stripes of carbon fiber. They didn't realize they didn't need to roast them on top of that. And this is actually wired like an old Esquire, where you've got in the front, you've got kind of a dark position, and then tone control, and then this is wide open, direct to the output jack. So I just want to try it. So that was the second one. You can see it's got really nice bird's eye in the neck, in the fingerboard. Beautiful. That's right, a modern. It's about as modern an Esquire as you can imagine. And then, interestingly, we're going to come to an Esquire at the end. In that whole idea of single pickup guitars, this is about as not me as you might think. This is a Paul Masvidalian signature guitar. Paul actually now plays a Kiesel, I think. But this was when they went to the new neck shape, much softer. Per Nielsen worked with them on his signature guitar, and they ended up liking the softer transitions on the plane. And I have to say, I like it better too. I do find this neck very comfortable. It's slightly, you can see that it's very slightly fan fretted. And I don't find the Strandbergs, it took me like literally 10 or 15 minutes to adjust. I think it just feels, it's ergonomically, it feels perfect to be there. This was modded in that the guitar originally came with a switch that turned on a parametric EQ. And it had a single EMG, active EMG pickup. And there's a battery compartment, of course. There's no battery in there now. I had the idea to turn this into kind of a junior. I had a video idea that I didn't end up making because they stopped building this guitar. And I thought, a friend of mine, Dave Honorato, lives in Atlanta, a friend at Rick's that I met through Rick, gigs a 50, I think it's a 56 Les Paul Jr. and through a 58 Tweed Deluxe. And that's his like bar rig. It's a rock. He's a great rock blues player. So I wanted to set this up that way. So I reached out to the people at Bare Knuckles because I didn't know them, and I wanted a pickup that would have 2 different positions. And so one is full humbucker, and then the other thing is a series wiring that makes this sound a lot like a P90. And I love that sound. And honestly, you could do anything on this guitar, anything in the rock category, all the way through like Eric Johnson sort of, because especially this with this semi kind of single coil kind of tone. It really, really is an amazing guitar. And this one, again, this is hollow. It's a basswood body, chambered, I think, and then a birch burl top. This is a rich light fingerboard. It looks like ebony, but it's rich light. This is very sort of sustainable woods thing here. It's a very cool guitar. It's interesting. I would say that the Strandbergs really don't sound like anything else. People talk about how PRSs, don't have soul and all that kind of stuff. PRSs, Jeff Mackerlane just did a live stream about talking about how PRSs sound like PRSs. They certainly, how can you dislike the sound of it and then say they don't have a sound? Kind of confusing. These have a sound too. Stainless steel frets. Very, small body guitar. I'm a tone wood agnostic. I believe in tone wood. I think that all of that matters, and it's going to affect how the guitar is. And this is just less wood. It's just less wood to resonate. I mean, the guitar that was in my lap that we're going to come to is that Collings. That weighs 8 pounds and 3 ounces. I mean, light for a Les Paul style guitar, but 3 pounds heavier than this. So that's the Strandbergs. I don't know about keeping the Strandbergs at this point because I don't play them. One of my rules about playing in the minimalism world, in the minimalism community, one of the rules they use, or guidelines, whatever you want to say, is if you're not using something, if you're not wearing something for a year, then you should let it go. I play these more often than that. And I love the company, and I love what they're doing, and I like the variety. And I have to say that I've heard from any number of people through the channel, guys older than me or my age that have bad arthritis in their hands, who've said, playing a Strandberg helped them keep playing. Tim Pierce got a Strandberg and set it up with 9s, and he said it's the easiest guitar to play he's ever played. He would like it to be more traditional. He was like, I wish it didn't have stainless steel frets. I wish it, he had all this wish list. And I think he did in the end talk to Ola. I think Rick has had dinner with Ola a few times, and I've talked to Ola a few times. But I think those guys actually know him better now. But it's interesting because, like I said, nothing plays like them. There's just nothing that plays like these. They're just so easy to play. So if you have any issues with your hands, or if you're looking for something that's small, or something that travels easy. It's not I wouldn't say it's limited to a travel guitar, but yeah, they are very cool. The guys at Ish carry them. They actually, I convinced them to pick up the brand, and they go through them. They sell them constantly, and they tend to have them in stock, where other places tend to sell out. So that's my free plug for the guys at Ish. So those are the 3 Strandbergs that are still here. I'm gonna have to move those because I'm gonna have to go over there to get other guitars. So I missed some questions as they went by. I want to do these as I go. Chris, I'm going to go backwards here. Or Chris Butler says, series or parallel to sound like a P90. This is, I am not an electronics guy. I should. If Lyle rolls in here, he's going to tell me. And I feel bad because the guys at Bare Knuckles worked with me to decide on that pickup. It's a Peacemaker pickup. It's a straight PIF, except it's very specifically built to split well or rewire it in different ways. So. Bright Falls says, have I gotten into bare knuckle pickups? The guy who makes them has the best ears in pickup building world. His riff raff set is a real deal. I think all of their pickups are amazing. I am blown away by that pickup. And I actually think that new pickups can make a huge difference in a guitar, especially if you're going in a very different direction. And we're going to see a lot of different styles of pickups here throughout the pile. So we'll see how it goes. I actually used the bare knuckle, was going to do the video. And then about 6 or 8 months later, I met Ron Ellis. And Ron and I just hit it off so much that we just have a lot of music in common. So it was really easy for us to, and then he keeps sending me. Yeah, that's what the headphones are. Sean wades in with a big piece of advice. You should sell all this stuff and buy an HS Strat, a Deluxe Reverb, and an HS Effects, and call it a day. You know, it's hard to argue that point. I'm not one to argue that point. And if you go back through my catalog, you're going to see that I built a Deluxe to end all Deluxes with Dan Lurie this year. So I've got the Deluxe. And actually, I think one of the questions I meant to ask here at the top was, are some of these guitars ready to go? Are some got to stay for additional video projects? And are any of the guitars here, as I've said, the oldest guitar I have here is 2017. Are any of these guitars lifers? Things that are going to stay here from here to the end? So it's a very interesting question to me. Some integrals. I touched on this. How long do you keep a guitar before deciding to let it go? I try not to own guitars I don't play. I try to have a guitar in the category of things I'm working on. So I am actually going to remake the Jazzmaster Short History, and I borrowed a Jazzmaster from the guys at Ish to do the thumbnail, and man, the guitar is just so aerodynamically different. I don't think I'm a Jazzmaster guy. But some people like Justin Ostrander makes a Jazzmaster sound like just an amazing, tremendous variety of tones. He uses them a lot on recordings. So this is a little off topic. What would make jazz more bookable? That's easy. People would have to be listening to jazz more than they do. I had my jazz quintet at the time when jam band stuff was at their peak. Medeski, Martin, and Wood. Derek Trucks was first out on the road. It was just like anything improvised was huge. And so I was a really perfect time to be out there playing straight ahead jazz. No flying V's. I don't have case space. I'm running out of space as it is. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Yeah, guitar level could be a little bit higher. I've been messing with it all day, BL Miwa. Yeah, I've been messing with it all day. It looks on my end, and when I try to turn it up, it looks on my end, it looks like it's distorting and getting messy. And then by the time it gets over to you, I'm not there. So I'm still working on it. Okay, I think I'm going to talk about one in, one out because we got one of those cases right now. Hey, Quincy. Does everybody know that that's Quincy? Figured out the name the name thing a while ago. I think it was Jeff that figured that out. Okay. All right. So I think I've caught up. I'm not used to having this headphone thing around my neck. I've got my picks. I have a little jewelry box. If you have blue chip picks, you might want to keep them in a jewelry box because they're so valuable. I've got a couple of plain Jane Fender picks in there, and then I've got my blue chips. Okay, so the next one on the list, people that have been following for a while will know that I sold 11 guitars. Was it the summer of 2022? I think I sold 11 guitars, and I bought 3 Collings guitars. It included a whole variety of guitars that I had for a while. I don't think there was nothing in there that I'd owned for more than 5 or 6 years. And I bought 2 guitars. The one I had out already. That's this one. This is the Collings City Limits. It has a quilt top and P90s. It's interesting. I had a real love affair with P90s after the junior episode that I did. And I bought 3 guitars with P90s. This and the I30 that you're going to see next. This guitar is 8 pounds 3 ounces. It's obviously a Les Paul style guitar. It's their full deluxe with the bound headstock and fingerboard, and even with their parallelogram inlays, which I just think it's a gorgeous guitar. I know that when I talked to Jeff, when I got this, he actually has been here to play it. When I got it, he played it and he's like, wow, that's a great guitar. Still not a Les Paul. It's kind of like he says about the Silver Sky that's in the corner over there. Like, great guitar, not a Stratocaster. This is not a Les Paul. I've got a Les Paul behind me, but man, every time I get it out to play it, because this is easily the most money I have in a guitar. I sold those 11 guitars. I think like they were nice guitars or I wouldn't have owned them. And I'm not a young guy, so I've had time to collect them. I think those 11 guitars, I think I sold them. I think I had like $27,000 from the 11 guitars. And this one was $5,800, about the same price as what I paid for an R9 custom shot the year before that I just couldn't get my head around the top. The top on this is like, the quilt is so deep, I always say you could swim in it. It's just amazing. So if it's gray and cloudy in upstate New York, I can get this out and put it on the stand, and it's like a perfect sunset. So that's this guitar. One of the other guitars that I always had was, and I think it's even on the banner of the channel still, is a Gibson made an ES390, which is a fully hollow guitar the same size as their 339, which is fully 2 inches narrower than a 335. This is Collings fully hollow I30. This wood is kind of okay as well. I wanted a sunburst one, but at the same time, I had just recently become friends with Adam Levy, and I had been friends with Tim Lurch for about a year. And Tim Lurch, I asked Tim, has one of these or had one of these just like this, and Adam's is exactly just like this too. I tease them that this is their signature model, with dots and bound neck. It's fully hollow, and it's an amazing guitar. I will plug it in real fast. It's the jazziest thing I own, and when I think about guitars and how long I'll have them, it'd be pretty hard to think about selling these two Collings guitars. I mean, they're just guitars. They're tools. They're not anything more than that. But let me mute the overhead mic again. I said maybe there's a reason I don't play in the air that big, or as Jeff always says, that's the mistakes are for free. It's live. I mean, obviously, it's the jazziest guitar I own. That's all the way rolled off. Anyway, that's the Collings I30. Get this out of the way. So as I said, those two Collings guitars are pretty special. That guitar is very, very light. It's fully hollow, so it's very light. My knees hurt encouraging me to play more. I should just play more. It's not really just play more online. It's more I should play more. It's actually a goal for the year to play more. So as I said, we're doing these in chronological order of when I bought them. Let's see. Actually, you know what? It's half past, so let me go ahead and do my TrueFire bit, and then we'll come right back and we'll wade in. We're only 4 guitars in. No, 5 guitars in. I need to pick up the pace. It should be easy enough. I reached out to TrueFire to be my sponsor because I'd used them for years. I'm currently having fun going through Adam Levy's Pocket Rhythm course. With over 2 million users worldwide, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced level player, TrueFire has lessons to enhance and inspire your playing. Get 35% off courses using the promo code 5watt35, or like I do, sign up for the All Access Pass to use the entire TrueFire catalog. I really like TrueFire, and I think if you give them a shot, you'll like them too. Sign up using the link in the description to support 5 Watt World and get some great lessons at the same time. I'd like to thank TrueFire for their support in making this video. And we're back. Get this back out of my headphones. I got those 2 Collings. Sir William of Bologna says the third says the 2 Collings are worth double of all of the gear I own. I should have paid more attention in school. That's funny, but you know, I think it has a lot to do, all of this stuff has a lot to do with priorities. I actually had a pretty good job in higher education administration for a long time. I also, as you guys know, I don't have any kids. Kids are expensive. There's all kinds of toys that I played with over the years that I probably would not have had if I had kids throughout. I'm lucky enough to have, spent a life around young people in higher education. So anyway, let me see. I got some questions. Robert Graves says, do they make their own pickups? I assume you're asking if Collings makes their own pickups. Actually, I don't believe they do make their own. In both these cases, these are Lawler P90s. They're actually the same pickup in different covers. That's a soap bar version, and that's a dog ear version. I actually have Ellis pickups to go in these guitars. I just haven't done it yet. To try them out. And then John Gundry from Throwback actually has long been a help to me in the channel. And I'd say John is really the P90 authority out there in the pickup world. And so that's somebody that I wanted to talk to about these guitars too. I just want to see if I got any other questions before we wade back in here. I don't know if Jeff's saying very nice to the playing or very nice that I was quoting him. You know, excuse me, that's me. It's good. It's me doing a bad version of Bill Frisell's version of Shenandoah. It's a traditional tune, but I've seen it credited to Bob Dylan and any number of other people. So. I saw a big super chat go by. Who is that? It wasn't me. Thanks. Hey, that's very sweet. Thank you very much. Okay, let's do some more guitars. So the Collings guitars are a thing. And then I really am close to the guys at Line 6. I love the Stomp stuff. And I really wanted to try one of the Revstars. This is before I bought the Deluxe and did the Les Paul thing. And so I was looking for I didn't have any 2 humbucking guitars. And I got this. It took me a while, and I have a whole episode. There's a whole live stream about buying this guitar. It took me a while to find one that was less than 8 pounds. This one weighs, I think, 7 pounds to 10 ounces. It's basically the new. I think that the plastic's still in the pickups. I don't find myself playing it. It has a certain voice. I would not say it is a Les Paul thing. It's definitely brighter, even though it is a set neck guitar. There's so many features about this guitar I like. I really love the design. This one, it speaks to that whole like motorcycle guy with the racing stripes in matte on a bright, shiny guitar. Love it. I could see this one going away. And they're hard to find at this weight. So I'll let y'all know if I decide to really let this go. I actually had an idea in mind to do a series of videos on lesser expensive guitars where it'd be a 2 guitar collection. This and a Pacifica would be kind of your humbucking and Strat style guitars. You could have a great 2 guitar collection for under $2,000. You'd have 2 really nice guitars. This is an import version from Indonesia, and not the Japanese version, which is like $2,000 in itself. But I really just think they're amazing guitars, and they have a huge following. That video did very well. I didn't expect it to do as well as it did, but they have a really big following. And I think it's that sort of price point and quality of the finish and the quality of the woods. The amazing thing about this company is they don't make more guitars because they will not make guitars below a certain level of quality control, period. That's it. They just won't change that. And obviously with all the different kinds of things that Yamaha makes, they can afford to be that way about their instruments. And they are. So that's the Revstar. So as I said, I became friends with Ron Ellis at a time when I had all these P90 guitars. I should have answered this. What are you playing through? There we go. I'm playing through Helix Native through Logic. And that's what I'm using. And the patch that I'm using is a Deluxe Reverb patch that is one I've had in my, I think it's one from my original bundle, but I'm working on a bundle. I'm actually talking to John Cordy about working on it with me, a bundle that is what I think of as the bread and butter. Where if somebody has a new stomp and they want to have like just a straight up Deluxe, a Vox, a Marshall, you know, sort of the bread and butter pack, you know, so that would be the things. And this would be right there. Like I said, I think of a Deluxe as the ultimate thing to have to play through, and it's great for pedals, etc. So, all right, so I don't want to miss new questions. Okay. So next is, I gotta go digging for this one. I gotta move stuff. I'm gonna take the headphones off. There'll be another musical interlude here, but hold on. I always laugh when people write to me and they say, I want to thank you and everybody, the whole team at 5 Watt World. And then I'm like up, stepping away from camera in the middle of a thing. So the next guitar I bought was a Silver Sky SE. I got this for a couple reasons. They had a really light one. These tend to be light. I don't know how PRS can do this, and Fender has such a hard time building a guitar. So this is a guitar that I got on sale for $600. Piano black. I changed the pickguard to because I have a tortoise fetish. I'll admit it, tortoise shell thing. Blue and tortoise was what I was going to call the channel at one time, indigo and tortoise. This guitar is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It is the best sounding Strat-ish guitar I've ever played. And one of the next guitars in the list here is a Squier that I got recently. And I'll play them back to back on occasion, and there's just no contest. I mean, this is a $600 guitar. I think these are usually $750, maybe $799. And the Squier was a $429 guitar, so it's almost double. But I would tell a kid that you could do this. You could be done. You could buy one of these and be done. But I can't, because I can't take the headstock. I just can't do it. I can't. And it's actually not a straight up Strat shape. It's way more comfortable to me. I'm not a Strat guy. You've heard me say that here before. It's way more comfortable to play than a Strat, which is why, I mean, it's still here. And maybe at this price point, it doesn't make sense to not be here. And frankly, new people just keep playing them. They just keep, turning around. You see the people, even the hardware is just amazing. The plastics are good at this price point, and plastics are where cheap guitars tend to fall down. So anyway, it's still here, and it's right here. I actually have, but I do one out of order. I mentioned that I had this video idea for a perfect 2-guitar collection, and I'm much more interested in lesser expensive guitar, maybe you can't tell from the crowd here, but less expensive guitars. And one of the guitars that's at the shop is this guitar. It's a PRS Mira SE. Now they stopped making Miras in 2023. And I got this one. All the, you know, I love Miras. You're going to see a bunch of Miras here in a second. But I got the black one thinking that it would be a great kind of companion to this black SE. Again, then you'd have a 2 humbucking guitar and a single coil Strat style guitar. It'd be kind of done, you know. And again, I think I got this used for 500 even, and it had this isn't the one actually. This is a picture from the internet, but it it had Duncan Invader pickups in it, and I had a batch of the original pickups out of the Mira X that I'm going to show you next, that I put in the Mira. That's why it's at the shop. It's there to get pickups in it. So the next one is Ron Ellis's fault, and I could be that guy and blame Ron for the next 4 guitars. So and David Barber has a hand in this. This is a PRS, a 2000. They only made them in 2009 and 2010. This one's a 2010 PRS Mira X. This originally had all chrome hardware, and this came about because Ron Ellis offered to send me a pair of his humbucking pickups, and I didn't own a humbucking guitar at the time. I think the Revstar actually came in the middle of this. I might have done these out of order. But anyway, so Ron offered to send me a pair of pickups, and this guitar, it's transparent red, very cherry red. So I had this idea. I was like, well, it's a very Billy Gibbons kind of guitar, so I'm going to bling it up. And I got Ron to send me gold pickups. And I reached out to John Mann at John Mann's Guitar Vault in New Hampshire. John's a great guy from when I used to live in New England. It's funny, I've never met John in person, but we talked on the phone about the history of PRS and any number of times. It's an incredible store. John gets the best of the best stuff from PRS, as you would guess, as you would expect. So this is a Mira X. This is a precursor to when they started building the S2 line. You can see how simply this is built. It's very simple contouring, almost a slab body. It does have a belly cut on the back. It is made out of some sort of African basswood-ish kind of thing. And David Barber, who knows a lot about these kind of things, says that this is the closest, he ended up buying 2 of these, I think. He said this is the closest he's ever heard or played to a 50s Junior. He thinks that it's that resonant. And the guitar I'm holding weighs 5 pounds, 5 ounces, I think, this one. I have another one that weighs similar numbers. All this hardware, all this gold hardware, these are actually locking, old style, Kluson style, but locking tuners that I got from John. John is the guy. There's no hardware questions you can't get John Mann to answer for you. Of course, I buggered the studs like every punk does. Every screw, every switch, the pots, everything came from John. And then I had Jay Locke at Ish Guitars put it together for me, just to wire everything up. I can do that stuff. I'm just not as good at it as Jay. So I'll come back to it, but this is my favorite guitar. So we'll come back here. So there was this one. I got this. And John Cordy has this theory. So I bought that one. And the next one was a cherry red one that is in the shop to get a pair of humbucking size Ron Ellis pickups. And this is the picture from when I bought it on Reverb. It has that classic, SG cherry color. It's going to have covered pickups, and they're going to be Ellisonics, which are like Dynasonics. And I keep a little heavier strings in this, and the little bit of slide that I attempt is going to be done on this guitar. And I started to tell. So John Cordy has this thing. He said that if you play multiples, this is a guy with multiple K-line Springfields. He said that he thinks it's a way of giving yourself some sort of internal organization if you have multiples of the same style of guitar. My theory has always been that it minimizes the number of variables for my hands. I said a little while ago, I don't get to play as much as I would like to, or I should, both for the channel and my soul. But the fact is, if I can lower the number of variables and yet have very different tone from very similar feeling guitars, I've always been something I've always chased. So let me get this one out of here. So that one's going to be set up with Alasonic. So we're going to have 4 guitars with very different pickups. The Mira SE Black I showed you already. That one is kind of passing through. It's really just for a video. The next one I got is this guitar. That is now... This is basically a sister to the red guitar in that these guitars can be pretty different in weight. But both of these are really light. The red one weighs about a full pound more, and I would tell you that the tone is much more direct. It's also very interesting because it doesn't say Mira X on the headstock, and it's very early. It's a very early serial number, so I think they were really just kind of getting warmed up. It might even be some sort of a prototype, the red one, the cherry red one. Not the bright red one, the dark cherry red one. So I got this, but I could not take the, I couldn't take the sepia finish. I didn't think the finish was very good on those. Maybe you guys like it. I didn't like it. And it was around the same time as, I should make a video about this actually. I could call it that the folks at PRS renovated my Mira X. The Mira X guitars were not expensive guitars. So to have a guitar refinished would be quite a luxury, kind of an expensive luxury. And the person that did artist relations for PRS for years is a woman named Jean Nooney. And Jean was amazing. I mean, everyone in the business knew her. She was absolutely incredible. And she did their media, and there's a new guy there, Eric, who's great. I have yet to meet him, but I asked Jean how much it would cost to get this refinished, and Jean offered to refinish the guitar. She's like, if you don't mind waiting, we could probably just slot it and respray the guitar for you. Well, they did a lot more than respray the guitar. Originally, the guitar had a whole bunch of dings on the top. These guitars are light and the wood is soft. And I just seamed it. When I was messing around today, this fell over and hit the desktop, and I put a new little mark right here. Didn't break the paint, but it didn't enjoy it. I'm going to put covered pickups on this, but I have to tell you, this sounds every bit as good as that red guitar. Maybe I'll plug this in. The guys didn't have the decal for the Mira X anymore, so they did the back of the headstock like they do. And yeah, I just think that they're just bread and butter. These things are just bread and butter guitars. How are we doing for time? Oh, we got a little time. We're already at number 12. Let me see if I can give you So, bread and butter. I mean, the thing is just, it just does the two. The biggest criticism I would say is that it doesn't have a second volume. And if David and I can figure out a way to squeeze 3 volumes in here, in a way, there's not much space in there. 2 volumes would be great on a double humbucking guitar like that. So that's the Miras. And those, oh, wait, I got one. And that's in the shop to get pickups. It's changed out to Ellis pickups. And that's this one. These are hard to find. So this, excuse me, this is a 2010 anniversary guitar, and it had P90 pickups, and it was the 245 because it's the 24.594 scale length. had hollow birds. It has this, they're all very different. This one is an all mahogany guitar, and it's a P90 guitar, so it scratches my P90 fetish that I have. So that's in the shop, like I said, to get those changed out, but that has the same scale length as the Mira X, which is a 22 fret, not 24 fret like the regular Mira was. And 24 and 594 scale length as well. So they have the original 50s Fender Gibson scale. So yeah, there's David chiming in to say it's a junior with buckers. That's exactly what it is. Okay. All right. So we only got a few minutes left here, but you know, we can just run over. We only have a few guitars left. The next one, I could almost help blame Lyle is here. I can almost help blame Lyle for this. Lyle, Rick, and David are all SG guys. Let me get out of here. I am not. I've yet to be one. Although I have to tell you that every time I play this, I want to be. And it's funny, you know, I was getting set up and I was getting the camera angle and everything. So I put this thing on my lap. You're going to see exactly what I'm talking about because the headstock is out of the frame. So, and I put them on a strap like everybody tells me I'm supposed to, then that's going to feel better. It's just everything is about 2 inches to the left for me. The neck could be bigger to suit me. This is a 64 or 63 reissue. Lyle, which one is this? It's a 2022, just like Lyle's. And it's beautiful. I got it from the guys at Watchtower Guitars, just like the next guitar you're going to see. And it was actually Rick kind of bugging me because he's like, you don't own any Gibsons. You don't play any Gibsons. You don't have time in on classic guitars. You should do that. You should spend some time with some classic guitars. And I recently made a video saying like 5 near perfect guitars, and an SG is one of them. There's no question. And this sounds like an SG, and it doesn't have the head dive. It's very balanced, and yet it weighs just about 7 pounds on the nose. You know, people say that this is not, I don't tend to wang it real hard, but just a little wobble. This thing's great. I love that about this whole setup. And Lyle actually gave me a whole bunch of pointers about how to improve if I wanted to use this more, how to improve this. You should go check out Lyle's videos about SGs, especially the Vibrola tailpiece work that he did is really interesting to me. I watched all the videos many times before I bought this. So that's the SG. Last year when I was remaking the Les Paul short history video, I knew I was going to do it. I was working on the script and I was reworking them. I really had not spent time with a Les Paul since I had the R9 for about 6 months back in 2022. And the interesting thing is, my first guitar ever was a Les Paul copy, a Hondo 2 Les Paul copy. It was really awful. It was amazing for me at the time, you know, 16, 17-year-old kid. But I went looking for a Les Paul, and as I said on the recent Deluxe video, I grew up with Pete Townsend, you know, on TV. And so a Deluxe is what Townsend used with the third pickup added when he switched from SG Specials to these. And they sound different than full-size humbuckers. And this one is a 2007. It's chambered guitar. And because it's chambered, it weighs 8 pounds, 3 ounces, about like the expensive mahogany you've got in the Collings there. This weighs that because it's missing a bunch. People ask me, can I hear the chambering? I don't know what that is. I love the sound of mini humbuckers. I always have. The ES390 guitar that I had mini humbuckers. I love the way they sort of straddle the line between humbuckers and single coils. For a guy who likes P90s, it's not surprising that I would like this. This guitar has just a little bit of life on it, a little bit of wear, a couple cracks in the finish. And I played this guitar. David had said to me that you need to play a guitar for a couple of months to really have a sense of it. People's comments about the SG. WizDog says, whatever, SGs are awesome. Thanks for taking my comment star. But I feel you. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's like absolutely, I know that is absolutely Rick's favorite guitar. And I know that David is a huge, huge SG fan. But I really like this. And I would have to say that the neck on this is a little thin for me too. But it's just like that SG neck. which is interesting, you know, because they're many, many decades apart. It's got a real nice piece of mahogany on the back. It's a very cool guitar, and I got it for a really good price from the guys at Watchtower, a couple of $1,000s, and it's a straight up Gibson Les Paul. I mean, it has an unusual, it was a guitar of the week, so it has a weird headstock, with a bound headstock. I read someplace that they said this was actually an SG style headstock. Maybe. Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? Anyway, this is a cool guitar. Very cool guitar. And now we got two more. That's it. We got two more guitars. And the first one of those, I bought a guitar yesterday, but it's going to replace, oh, I didn't cover it. I skipped one of the guitars that's in the shop because I'm going to sell it. So let me touch base on that because you guys have seen this one recently. I'm not going to talk a bunch about this. The other guitar that's in the shop is the gold Made in Japan Telecaster that I got when I was doing the Made in Japan episode. And then I got Ron Ellis pickups for it, and I thought this is really cool, and I love the sounds it makes. But the guitar overall just has not lit me up, and it's heavy. I tend to be fetishistic about light Telecasters, and I had a really light one that I put together as a parts caster once. And as I said, I'm going to do a white guard episode. So David at Barber and I were talking about doing a parts caster as part of that video project. And then, as I said, I reached out to Zach. So we're going to do a parts caster. I think we can find time to do it. But in the meantime, see, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, I bought the Squier, to have a Strat in the house. And I said in a video that in the Squier video history, that I had this in a thumbnail for the Strat video, and nobody said, "Hey, that's a Squier." You just wouldn't know. It's not. It's probably a pine body. It's a laurel fingerboard. None of that bothers me. It sounds like a Strat. It feels like a Strat. And for a non-Strat guy, this is Stratty enough for me. And at $429, I just can't get over how much guitar you get for this kind of money. Needs a neck adjustment. But I can do it at the headstock because I'm not a traditionalist. And that brings us to a guitar that I bought to replace that other Tele. If I can get this one back in the case. Look at that, $458. How great does the bridge pickup sound? You know, I think that everybody's right. The place that people scrimp on these very inexpensive guitars on pickups, but I think the pickups sound great. I'm a position 4 and 2 guy. I really love that. So I think this position 2 on that guitar sounds really good, and that's mostly where I play, or on position 4. So. So the last guitar isn't here yet. I reached out to a guy on the internet who had one of these. This was built in 2020. And let me see if I got a picture of it here. Yeah, here it is. So I think you might have heard me say this before. I was in a jazz, Rick Beato likes to refer affectionately to as my jazz coma. For 25 years, I really only listened to straight ahead jazz. And I don't know how I stumbled on Brad Paisley's record Play. And I just was knocked over. I'd always been sort of a, Robin Ford, edge of jazz, kind of blues guy as well. And here was a guy playing a Telecaster with such a fat tone. And then I learned later through a Vox, no less, that I just couldn't get over it. I just, back in the day, we'd say I wore that record out. But I didn't wear it out. It was a CD. It's just amazing. And so I went looking at the bright silver ones because David Barber has a silver one, and I thought and this actually has a neck that was modeled after a guitar that Brad Paisley had that's a 63, but the reality is that that 63 that he has a soft V. And the white guard Tellys had soft V necks, getting sharper as you get into the later 50s. All those, from 54 through 58 is really the white guard era, and they got sharper and sharper. So to have the 63, then they got softer again. So the 63 is probably not that different than like a 56. And I always loved Esquires, and this is that top secret Esquire with the pickup under the scratch guard. So I just got this from a guy named Brandon yesterday on Reverb, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the gold telly, and then I'm going to use this one the way it is. I might even go ahead and have a glazer. If I like the guitar enough, I might have a bender put in. I've never owned a bender, and that would be worth a video about tremolo and benders would be a cool thing. So there's a lot of guitars here. All right, so I want to hear your votes. Just from your own perspective. You don't have to like channel me. What would you get rid of? What in the room would you get rid of? Put it in the comments. And I'll look for other questions in the meantime. I love to see you guys talking to each other. You know, I missed Dean DeLeo when I did the deluxe video. I also missed the guy, the Australian guy from Crowded House. I'm not gonna come up with a name late on a day that I've been wrestling with the computer all day. Hey Shane, there's Shane in Japan. I don't know what you're hating on there, Shane, but Shane's a nice guy. Oh, you guys are talking about SGs. Yeah, go ahead and disagree. Do it politely. Neil Finn, thank you, Paul. Man, you guys are amazing. David and I were laughing. Actually, my wife and I were laughing about how people say, you know, the thing with the thing, right? Neil Finn, Lyle's there to save me as well. So nobody's going to wade in and say what they would get rid of from the pile. Okay, let's do it the other way around. What guitars here, if this was your collection of guitars, of electric guitars, is there anything here that you would keep forever? Everybody's still answering the Neil Finn question. Is there anything here you would keep? Some are going to go. I have too many guitars again. And I'm actually going into I'm going to play just the Miras for a couple of months when I get the pickups changed out. I've long really wanted to get to a place where I was playing one style of guitar again, kind of like back in my days playing just DGTs. I could see playing just these. And I actually got the Collings out thinking, well, I could probably let those go. I haven't played those in a few. No, those are amazing. That they literally are just so easy. Yeah, Keith's right. The Collings are going to stay. Mr. Dooley, how you doing? I didn't see the inventory. Yeah, you'd have to have been here for the whole video to really vote Lee. Lee Asbury is saying he didn't see the whole inventory. There were no green ones, but I think you know that. Collings hollow body, bright red Mira, totally, that's a lifer. I've been thinking about getting that pinstriped. Still thinking about getting that guitar pinstriped to go the full on. Keep the Miras. Jeff, my kind of people, keep those Miras. Keep the ES, the Deluxe. Yeah, it's hard to think about getting rid of that Deluxe. Lyle is always polite yet clear. Sell the fugly Silver Sky. I think the Silver Sky is going to go. I can't do it. I hope somebody. I should do it as a giveaway. I should give away the Silver Sky and the Mira as a pair to a young player. We should have a scholarship kind of thing. There you go. You guys are channeling me here. There's 4 PRSs. You did miss the beginning. Out on the bike too long. Yeah, my nephew would tell you that, the Collings guitars, but he probably would like the Les Paul and the SG as well. I have a nephew that plays guitar. That's where my hand-built, the acoustic that I had with wood from the farm where I grew up, that'll go to my nephew. Sell them all and start all over, AJ Stone. I did that a couple years ago, and I'm back there. I need to clean out though. I need to clean out. I like to. A while ago, when I was selling the 11 guitars, I just got back from vacation, and we were in Paris, my wife and I, kind of a honeymoon trip. We got married in October, and I said years ago, I said that I was gonna sell one of the guitars and go to Paris, and the guy's like, "I've been to Paris, keep the guitar." And I laughed hard, and I said, "They must have a different relationship to bread than I have." Chris Butler's right. Probably will hold on to the Squier because until I stop doing the channel, there's guitars that I kind of just need to have here. The Wolf, PRS SE, and the Mira, I would keep. Well, maybe these two guitars can come live with you. They're a pair. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that too, Ryan. But the SG might be short-lived, but I should play more. Ray. Okay, Ray. Ray says, how about a test of someone other than you playing the exact same thing, clean, and you can only keep the guitars you can identify correctly? Ooh, you're tough. I actually talked to a buddy of mine from the channel, Kane Miller, earlier today, and when he was trying to keep, when he was trying to decide what to keep at one point, he had his wife do a listening test and say what was her favorite guitar, and I think it was a Heritage 535. So that's an interesting question. My wife's not a musician, but she absolutely loves to hear me play. And if she didn't, she probably wouldn't be my wife. And I do a lot of acoustic music with her, and I'll sing. Okay, John, I'll just swing by Ohio. I'll come by Ohio and drop some of these off for you. Lee, all the Miras that are here are Mira X model guitars. They were built in 2009 and 2010. I can tell this and promote them now because I think David and I have more than enough. Yeah, 2009, 2010 Mira X guitars, and they were different woods. I think Paul experiments with woods, and it was a really interesting time. Those guitars were really interesting. He also had a batch of Carina about that same time, and he built a bunch of different guitars with Carina. So I think it's great, and I wish they would build that guitar again. I'd love it. Yeah, I like the Deluxe. It's not going to go anywhere right now. Oh, that's interesting. Derek doesn't like the racing stripes. I like those. I think those are very cool. I like the color choices they did. Hey, Paul. Keep the Les Paul Deluxe. My favorite guitar is the Jazzmaster, which you seem to struggle with. Yeah, I'm glad it's good for you. I'm glad I'm glad people like them. And I haven't spent a lot of time with them, to be. Okay, guys, we're running out of time. So I appreciate you listening to me ramble on through this collection. And actually, it's helpful to hear that I either accurately represented my feelings about my collection. Lyle's right. The SG has that sound. There's no question about it. Um, so, okay. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here. Bebe's still getting back from work, from being on holiday in the Caribbean, poor Bebe, and he's going to be back in the near future, and we're glad to have him back. Remember to hit the merch store and go to Reverb or directly to David Barber for overdrive pedals through the collaboration overdrives, and remember that this is a 5-watt world. Was sponsored by TrueFire today, and there's a link in the description, so if you use the link in the description, it lets TrueFire know how much you enjoy having TrueFire sponsor the channel. All right, I'm going to have John Cordy play us out, and I want to thank everybody for being here, and thanks for being a part of the 5-watt world. Okay, see you next time.